Welcome to Americana Archives. Today we have the first part of the story with the headline, Indian Adventures in the Ohio Valley. The subheadline says, Tales of Bravery and Daring on the part of border settlers in Ohio and Kentucky. The introduction says, In the days of old, when the territory over which Cincinnati now reigns as Queen of the West was a howling wilderness, when the cry of the owl, the roar of the panther, and the yell of the Indian were the music to which the early pioneers who blazed the path for civilization were wont to dance. Deeds of daring and personal bravery were the rule, not the exception. Many of these deeds have been handed down, authenticated by history, others as legends and traditions, and from these, a number of the most interesting adventures with Indians have been gathered, applicable particularly to this section of the country. Today's installment is entitled The Rescue of a Captive Maiden. It says, many powerful tribes of savages lived on the northwest side of the Ohio River during the last decade of the last century, and the Mingos, a vindictive race, possessed a rich alluvion, beginning a short distance below the present town of Steubenville, and running for many miles along the banks of the river. Among the heroes of this section, Louis Wetzel held no inferior place. His form was erect, he was very muscular, and his frame was warmed by a heart that never palpitated with fear, animated by a spirit that quailed not in the midst of danger. Among his accomplishments was that of loading his rifle when running at full speed, and wheeling on the instant to discharge a bullet with unerring aim. His fame had spread throughout the adjacent settlements, and in the spring of 1784, a young man who lived on Dunkard's Creek, a tributary of the Monongahela River, being also an expert woodsman and first-rate shot, set out to find Wetzel and test his skill. They met by chance near the forks of Wheeling Creek, and both men spying a deer in the forest fired simultaneously. Their dogs engaged in mortal combat over the fallen buck, and their masters soon took up the quarrel. Wetzel vanquished his adversary very readily in physical contest, and subsequently gave him an exhibition with the gun that astonished him. They became friends, and Wetzel accompanied his erstwhile foe to the Dunkard settlement. There they found the dwelling a smoking ruin, and all the family murdered and scalped, except the young man's sweetheart, who had been taken away alive, as was ascertained by examining the trail of the savages. Wetzel discovered that the party consisted of free Indians and a renegade white man. He knew it to be a white man, for the Indians, in placing the feet, step in parallel lines, first bringing the toes to the ground, while the white man almost invariably first touches the heel and places the feet at an angle with the line of march. They followed the trail with the unerring sagacity of bloodhounds, and had thus traced them to the Ohio River, some miles below Wheeling, nearly opposite the mouth of Captina Creek. The Indians had crossed by constructing a raft of logs and brush, but Wetzel and his companions swam across, fastening their clothes in a bundle on their heads, with their rifles and ammunition above. They waited until early dawn before undertaking the work of retribution. The young man selected the white renegade, Wetzel one of the Indians, and both fell dead in their tracks. Wetzel, by discharging his rifle at random, drew the other two savages from cover. They rushed upon him, but he loaded his gun as he ran, and turning suddenly, killed the one, repeating the performance for the benefit of the survivor a minute later. After taking their scalps, Wetzel and his friend returned with their rescued captive, unharmed, to the settlement. In 1795, Wetzel pushed on for the distant frontiers on the Mississippi, where he died a number of years later. This story came from the great state of Ohio, being reported in the Cincinnati Commercial Gazette of July 21st, 1895. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.